Welcome back. You're watching Startup Central. Now, India's fastest growing direct-to-consumer beauty brand MyGlamm has closed its Series C funding round, and it raised as much as 530 crore rupees. Of that, 355 crore rupees was a top-up led by marquee global venture capital firm Accel. My colleague Nantara Rai spoke to the management, Darpan Sanghvi, who's the founder and chief executive officer of the company, and she also spoke with Rachit Parekh, who is a vice president of Accel. Listen in.
Beauty brand MyGlamm has gone ahead with another fundraise. It has closed the round with a top-up of over 300 crore rupees led by Accel partners. Earlier, it was Amazon and others that had put in big bucks, about 175 crores. Joining me now is the founder, Darpan, as well as being joined by Rachit from Accel. Thank you for joining us here on Startup Central. Good to have you on the show. Darpan, it's a big round that you've raised, over 500 crores in all, in two tranches. What are you going to do with all of this money?
We're going to build a great company, Nantara. We're going to build the future of beauty in India with this. And, great to have the support of guys like Accel and everyone else who supported us in the Series C. And, it's given us capital that we don't need to worry about, funds as we go about execution. We're focused on execution. We're focused on building what we need to build. We solved our operational burn problem late last year, so we're not burning capital, and this capital is truly for growth. So what we're going to do with this money is grow.
Okay, you're going to use all of this money to grow, be well capitalized. I'm going to come back to you because I caught up on certain phrases, the future of beauty and no more cash burn. But Rachit, if I can come to you, and just because of the times that we are in, this era of excessive liquidity, and I'm sure with what China is doing to consumer internet companies is only making India a hotter destination. Was it you that approached MyGlamm or the other way around?
I think we've been chatting with Darpan for what's it been, more than a year and a half now, and we've been following his progress, tracking him very closely in terms of what he's been building out. And I think we've just built a lot of conviction on this and on the way that he's gone about building this, like incorporating content into commerce and really kind of building a community of women and building a house of brands, digital house of brands. That's a thesis that really appealed to us, and that's when we approached Darpan for this round of funding.
Okay, now Darpan, you said you want the future of beauty. What is the future of beauty in India?
I think there's going to be a plethora of new age brands that are building highly innovative products based on what women really want. Not what they've been served, but what they need and what they want. And I think the future of beauty is connecting with this woman, understanding her needs, and then creating products that are relevant for her and building what she truly wants. And I think that's what's going to be the future of beauty in India. Digital is a big part of this future of beauty in India. And our content to commerce funnel is going to power as we build the future of beauty together.
Okay. And Rachit, if I can come to you now. Beauty, how bullish is Accel about it? You've got a lot of consumer bets which have been so right. What is it that you're looking for in the beauty space?
So I think the biggest thing is that we think that the way that consumers are buying has completely changed. So if you think about even 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, the way that you bought any consumer product used to be you would walk into a store, you would look at the 4 or 5 options that were there, and you would just pick from whatever brand you knew or because some celebrity was endorsing it. But the more and more time that we spent with consumers, we realized that the way they're purchasing has completely changed. It's now all about digital first, really doing deep research into the type of products, the ingredients, what will work for me specifically versus what's a generic product that works for some potentially like some other skin type or body type that's not relevant to me. And then they actually consume so much content on social media to go deep into these products and then purchase. And then if you think about the broader landscape of how the traditional CPG companies have done it, we think that paradigm has to shift and change. And we think that there's enough opportunity in the market. It's a massive market. You have huge companies like Unilevers of the world and P&Gs, but the way that they function today is still 19th century, if I may dare to say so. And we think that there's an opportunity for someone to build a digital version of this. And beauty is just the first step. It's about building the next generation kind of digital CPG giant.
I wanted to touch upon another theme. Darpan, you've got Amazon, which has become an investor, right? I'm sure there are a lot of synergies there when you want to sell online. I'll come to that in just a bit. But if you really have ambitions of becoming a big player, you're going to have to go into the hinterland. You're going to have to go into the smaller towns. Is MyGlamm still seen as a premium product? And if you want to go into the smaller towns, how will you go vernacular as well?
So today, Nayantara, 60% of our revenues already come from tier 2 and tier 3. So we are already serving consumers from the smaller cities of India. And what's extremely interesting, and building on what Rachit said, that these consumers go deep into social media and they go deep in their research. When we speak to our tier 2, tier 3 customers, they're as well informed as our tier 1 customers. They understand beauty well. They're following it on their social media. They're consuming content around it. So I don't think it's a question whether we are going to go in tier 2 and tier 3. We're already there, and we're going to go a lot deeper, both online and offline. If you look at our offline, we're already in 100 cities of India, and online, we're delivering orders to over 1,000 cities of India. So the opportunity, the reason why the growth is so high is because you're seeing not just tier 1, but tier 2 and tier 3 also entering this consumption mix, discovering brands online, and asking for more and more.
Rachit, if I can come to you, you've got MyGlamm's perspective, but as someone who understands the sector as well, you are seeing consumer companies, first of all, direct-to-consumer is really, really picking up. And within the beauty space, you've got MyGlamm, which is saying 60% of the revenues come from tier 2 and tier 3 towns. But are you still seeing an explosion of internet users with a similar purchasing power?
No, look, I think that's where the way that Darpan has approached this is very interesting, right? That's what attracted us in the first place to him. He's building us a house of brands where you have different brands that appeal to different segments of customers. And as they graduate from one, whether it's income segment or type of products that they want to buy, Darpan is building a house of brands that can basically satisfy each of their needs in terms of taste, in terms of products or price points, whatever it may be. And I think, Nayantara, the other thing is that as we spoke to women, what we realized is that even the woman who's used to buying, let's say, a 2,000 rupee product for certain products, they still prefer a simple, let's say, a kajal or eyeliner. They may buy like a low cost, like a normal product because they don't see the difference in it, while they may buy a 2,000, 3,000 rupee lipstick. So I think the more we dug into this, we realized that the strategy of basically straddling across different brands and building a house of brands is what appealed to us. Because to your point, the kind of purchasing power in some of these towns may not be the same as a Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, and you need to be able to straddle across these different segments.
Because, Rachit, isn't that what the problem is, that everybody is chasing the same bunch of internet users with the higher purchasing power? So while we are seeing penetration, smartphone penetration improve, we can't deny that e-commerce penetration is still a measly 7%.
No, absolutely. And I think as the country continues to, as GDP per capita continues to rise, as this continues to rise, you will see more and more people purchasing. And the first purchase that people make of beauty products or beauty and personal care of the next 50 million, 100 million users is not going to be off the shelf without having done research online or an omni-channel experience, even if they do walk into a physical store. It's going to have been after they engaged with the brand on social media, after they dug deeper and understood like what kind of products make sense for them in terms of price point, in terms of efficacy, in terms of ingredients, and then they're going to go and purchase. So to us, it's very clear. It's that, yes, we may be limited in terms of e-commerce penetration today, but you need to think about the next 40, 50, 60, 100 million people that come online, and the way that they purchase is going to be completely different. And that's why we believe in this entire content to commerce story and the ability of some of these digital brands to displace the incumbents.
Darpan, I was talking with the co-founder of Razorpay, and he told me that nearly 90% of the transactions, consumer transactions, are originating from social media. How is all of that going to fit into your strategy? I know you already have one, and therefore what I'm trying to get at is that are brands like yours having to pivot or figure out your social commerce strategy already?
So, Nayantara, there's no doubt that consumers discover beauty, especially my category, on social media, right? And that's where the PopXO Plixo moat for us is so powerful, right? Through PopXO, we have 60 million monthly active users, most of them on social media, right? Through PopXO, we reach out to 50% of the total women online on Facebook and Instagram. We reach out to them through PopXO. Through Plixo, we have 200,000 influencers posting UGC on our behalf on social media. And so I think there's no doubt that social media is how women are discovering beauty, and that is then leading to the transaction. I think we've beautifully built out a funnel through PopXO and Plixo to educate the woman about our products, about beauty, and eventually get her to MyGlamm to transact.
Okay. And in that sense, Rachit, is India different from what we saw in America and China? Because, we're still way behind. In China, you've got like 25% e-commerce penetration. Are we going to literally skip all of that and move to social commerce?
I think it's going to be a mix of both, right? I think discovery will continue to happen through a various mix of channels like social and other channels. But I think fulfillment will continue to be split across, let's say, the traditional kind of shopping experience, which is the marketplaces or directly onto the website like Darpan's or others. But the inevitability, I think, that we are seeing more and more is that the experience, understanding, engagement with brands and products will happen through social. Whether the fulfillment of the actual purchase happens through social or not is still unclear, and we'll have to build the muscle to be able to do that in case consumers gravitate towards that. But I think the discovery and engagement part is already here. I don't think it's about it happening in the future. It's already here, especially in the categories that MyGlamm plays in or any related category around D2C.
Rachit, since I have you here and you're so senior in Accel Partners, I've got to ask you this question. This is not a PR exercise. We have to ask you this question. With China cracking down on consumer internet companies, what is this going to mean for Indian startup ecosystem? You've had a record fundraise in the first 6 months of this year. You're seeing a lot of deal making that's taking place. But can what China is doing be a big advantage for India, and is it already happening?
You've seen the momentum in the first half of the year. I don't think we need to say anything more other than that, is that just the speed of company creation, speed of unicorn creation, speed, and not just the valuations, but even the underlying growth metrics that we are seeing with companies is phenomenal. I think we've not experienced something like this before, and it's only going to accelerate. And China, potentially the reduced focus on China. I don't know how this will play out. This is very brand new news in some sense, right? We don't know exactly how it will play out, but the potential reduced focus there will only be beneficial, I think, to Indian entrepreneurs. And I think what entrepreneurs today need to do is think global, right? It's not just about India, but the way that a lot of the companies have been built, and even some of the biggest IT services companies in India have been built, is by thinking global. And I think it's time for our entrepreneurs. They're super high quality. The kind of people we're seeing are absolutely phenomenal, world class. And it's time for them to really, really think big and go for global opportunities. So not just India, but think outside.
Okay, so they should be thinking global, but something else that should be playing in India's favor. You've seen Didi, the taxi aggregator in the US, lose 50% of its market capitalization, whereas in India, Zomato's doubled it from the listing day.
Phenomenal. And I think hopefully this is only the start, right? We're going to see a flurry of companies going public over the next quarter, 2 quarters. High quality companies, and we're only at the beginning of the internet revolution here. So I think what's bound to happen is that capital will of course be attracted to India, and we're already seeing the early signs of that. But more than that, I think we need to make sure that we're also attracting the best talent, right? We've seen a lot of people move back from the Valley or others come back to India. But the way that we will build the best companies is going to be that we need to attract the best talent from all over the world to come to India and build our companies, right? I think that's what like even in China, if we see the talent that came there to build their companies came back to China after a long time, and the US has obviously been able to attract talent globally. I think that's something that India also needs to do to step up and really compete and create the best companies.
Okay. Final comments, and Darpan, I'm coming to you for that. Every time I get you on the show, I ask you this just to see if there's any change in consumer behavior. What's hot and trending right now when it comes to beauty products? You've already dismantled this entire theory in the past that women are not wearing lipsticks in the era of masks.
What's trending and hot is MyGlamm, Nayantara. That's what's trending and hot in the beauty industry right now. So, but jokes apart, I think women are buying makeup. They're ready to go out. They were buying lipsticks, but I think they're starting to pick the face products back up again. And you're starting to see the higher value items starting to go off again. Earlier, what you saw was more skincare, more personal care, and more low-ticket, low-value makeup products, which were the instant pick-me-up, the instant gratification that she could get. And now she's back to getting it. We're all excited about the season that's coming up. We saw last season when the lockdowns opened up. Last October, people were shopping with a vengeance offline and, of course, online too. And we expect the same to happen very, very soon.
Okay. With that, I'd like to thank both of you for taking the time out for joining us here today on Startup Central. All the very best.
Thank you.